because of the change in the climate. We people are now suffering from hot na udto due to unstoppable misuse of the environment that worsens the change in the atmosphere. Global warming. Hello Philippines and hello world. My name is Lilian Catherine Gavan, your commentator for this day. Our topic for today is all about global warming, or also known as climate change. Okay, ano ba talaga ang climate change? Let's find out. It is due to unstoppable use of the electricity that worsens the change in the atmosphere. At kung napapansin nyo, tuwing dry seasons we experience extreme hotness and we don't have enough supply of water. And every wet seasons naman, it rains so hard. And do you still remember yung sunod-sunod na bagyo na sumalanta sa atin noong 2009? Maraming bahay ang nawasak at maraming tao ang nawalan ng mahal sa buhay. Kung di lang sana nagbibingi-bingihan ng mga government officials sa problema ito, wala na sana madadama na inosenteng tao. At dahil din sa patuloy na pagputol ng mga puno, di sana tayo babahain. At kung marami pa sana tayong mga puno, may sisip-sip pa sa tubig ulan at mag-take ng carbon dioxide para sa ikabubuti ng ating ozone layer. Because when the carbon dioxide or smoke will be stuck in the Mother Earth, the hole in our ozone layer will get bigger and bigger. Kaya nagkaka-global warming. And if the illegal loggers, after nila pumunta ng puno, ay magtatanim ulit sila ng puno, di sana lalala ang ating problema. But they just do nothing! They just think about the money they will get after the cutting the tree. You look around your surroundings. Before, luntian. Ngayon, simentado na. Dahil sa kawalan ng puno, wala na magtitake ng carbon dioxide. Kaya na-experience natin ngayon ang global warming. And we cannot blame the illegal loggers because of cutting trees. They have a reason. Because they need to support their own families. And because they are not the only reason why this climate change happened. Also, me, you, and all of us struck Mother Earth. Kaya ngayon, dapat natin ito aksyonan. Kaya dapat magtanim na tayo ng mga puno at halaman. At gawing motto ang Clean and Green. At ugaliing sumali sa Clean and Green campaign sa inyong community at mahalin natin ang ating kalikasan. Para masilayan at kagiliwan pa ng susunod na henerasyon ang kagandahan ng ating kalikasan. Sabi nga nila, kung tayo ay magkakaisa, buhay natin liligaya, paligid ay giginhawa at ang ating kalikasan ay muling sisigla. Again, this is Lilian Catherine Gavan, your commentator for this day. Signing off.
Magandang hapon Pilipinas! Magandang hapon bayan! Narito na naman po tayo sa ating umasikabang balitaktakan, ang KKKK! Karahasan, kaganapan, katiwalian, kaguluhan ng bayan mo, ibulgar mo! Ako po si Yoshiko Higuchi. Pag-usapan natin ngayon ang illegal logging o walang permisong pagputol ng puno. Bakit naging talamak ito sa ating bansa? Bayan, gaano ba kahalaga ang punong kahoy? Gaano katagal bago tumubo ang isang puno? Ano-ano ang mga benepisyong makukuha ng mga tao sa mga puno? Mga katanungang na dapat pagtuunan ng pansin ng bawat mamamayang Pilipino. Mga katanungang dapat ilagay sa puso't isip ng mga Pilipino. Ang punong kahoy ay napakahalaga sa ating kapaligiran. Bakit? Nililinis nito ang hangin, nagbibigay ng prutas na makakain, nagbibigay ng tabla na maaaring magamit sa pagpapatayo ng gusali, bahay at iba pa. Ang punong kahoy, ito ay maituturing na may pinakamalaking may buhay dito sa mundo. Correction, noon. Bakit tayo nauubusan ng puno? Dahil ito sa mga masasamang tao na walang pakialam sa kapaligiran. Pinuputol ang puno. Ang puno ang sumisip-sip sa tubig ulan upang hindi sabay-sabay umagos mula sa kabundukan pababa sa kapatagan. ng punong kahoy sa atin. Ngunit ngayon, bayan, masdan mo ang ating kapaligiran. Nasaan na ang mga punong ito? Masdan nyo ang ating kabundukan. Ito'y nakakalbon na dahil sa illegal logging. Pinuputol ng walang pakundangan ang mga puno nang walang binhing ipinapalit. Ano na ang mangyayari sa ating mundo kung mauubos na ang puno? Alam ng mga tao na bawal ang pagputol ng mga puno nang walang kaukulang permiso sa ating gobyerno at pagputol ng puno nang walang binhing ipinapalit. May mga batas na dapat sundin ukol dito. Ngunit bayan, bakit nangyayari pa rin ito? Bakit hindi nahuhuli kung sino man ang may pakana ng iligal na gawain ito? Dahil ba ang mga taong nasa likod nito ay nasa pwesto? May mataas na katungkulan? Dahil ba ito'y anak ni Mayor? Kamag-anak ni Gobernador? O kumpare ni Congressman? Abay kahit saan kang probinsyong mapunta ay talamak na ang illegal logging. Darating ang araw na wala nang maaabot ang puno ang mga susunod na henerasyon. Sa inyo po mga sir, madam, makonsensya naman kayo. Sa panahon ngayon ng global warming at iba pang problema tulad ng baha at landslide, dulot ng kawalan ng punong kahoy, abay dapat lang aksyonan ng ating gobyerno ang problemang ito bago pa lumala at kumitil ng maraming buhay. Bayan, ang tanong, may ginagawa bang aksyon ang gobyerno ukol dito? Ano sa palagay nyo? Ito ang katanungang kayo lamang ang makakasagot. Ang bagyong Ondoy ay halimbawa ng pinakamatinding sakuna na dulot ng baha sa ating bansa dahil wala ng puno na sumisipsip sa tubig ulan at maaaring maging panangga sa malakas na hangin. Maraming ari-arian ang nawasak. Buhay na nawala dahil lang sa hangarin ng iba nating kababayan na yumaman sa pamamagitan ng iligal na pagputol ng puno para lang makahiga sa maraming salapi. Bayan, ilan pang Ondoy ang darating para matigil na ang illegal logging? Bayan, ang problemang ito ay masosolusyonan lamang kung ang bawat mamamayang Pilipino ay tutulong at kikilos para masugpo ang illegal logging. Panahon na para sa pagbabago. Kaguluhan ng bayan mo, ibulgaran mo. Ako po, si Yoshiko Higuchi, proud to be a young commentator.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gian Carla Valle, your young commentator this afternoon. My topic for this afternoon is all about climate change. Climate change is the abnormal weather condition of a certain place caused by greenhouse effects that is trapped on the earth. Kids join fight versus climate change. The battle against global warming and climate change should not be fought by adults alone. The Worldwide Fund for Nature, or WWF Philippines, a non-government organization, believes that it is crucial to train a new generation of climate warriors if the government really wants to effect lasting solutions to environmental issues. It was for this reason that WWF Philippines and HSBC launched back their project in 2008 called Project Eco Kids, which stands for Environmentally Conscious Kids. 3 years and 15,000 students later, Project Eco Kids can be considered as the country's single most effective program in teaching children in some 50 schools nationwide about climate change, causes, and solutions, according to WWF. While climate change lessons are not yet fully integrated into the public school curriculum, HSBC teamed up with WWF to implement an educational drive to teach children about climate change and the simple solutions they can adopt to prepare for its effects. We believe in empowering the youth to become the future stewards for the environment. One good way is to make them realize that climate change is not some complex concept for grown-ups. Rather, it's something they can understand, something they themselves can act on, explains Project Eco Kids team leader Obel Resurrection. Project Eco Kids is the latest stage in the evolution of WWF educational drives focused on increasing awareness on ecosystem and endangered species protection. It drew on years of experience in tackling a subject long regarded as technical for kids. Project Eco Kids is fully endorsed by the Department of Education, and plans are underway to fuse climate modules with the regular school curriculum. We hopefully form an environment-friendly habits and consequently live environmentally conscious lifestyles, WWF says. According to WWF, Project Eco Kids consists of 4 60-minute modules delivered each weekly. Climate change is the first topic to be discussed, which includes explanations regarding the causes and effects of global warming and how human impacts accelerate or slow down its effects. Another module tackles about energy conservation and renewable energy, which shows the various types of renewable energy sources in the Philippines and shares simple tips on how to reduce household energy consumption. The waste management module, meanwhile, enlightens kids on the impact of pollution and what they can do to cushion its effects, such as reduce, reuse, and recycle. The fourth and final week integrates all lessons into a personal roadmap to minimize each child's consumption of resources. Children, according to WWF, are given opportunities during the 4 weeks to engage in role-playing, song and dance kits, arts and crafts, word games, and mathematical challenges to internalize the lessons. The lessons are imparted into children, but it is their parents who will feel immediate benefits, adds Project Officer May Padilla. For example, when we convince kids to lessen their electricity usage, their household bill is reduced. There's no better teacher than experience. And positive experiences are what's in store for our students, she notes. The Project Eco Kids program relies solely on volunteers, which have reached for almost 500 people within the 3 years that it has been implemented. These volunteers are mostly HSBC employers and freelancers. WWF hopes that the success of Project Eco Kids can be replicated in more areas, particularly in schools outside Metro Manila, Resurrection adds. And this has been Gian Carl Abalie reporting.
Comments on illegal logging. Magandang hapon, bayan ng Nikki Jinkay. Ang issue natin ngayon ay tungkol sa walang kamatayang illegal logging, marami na ang napipinsala. Why do we call this one as illegal logging? Sino ba ang legal na pwedeng gumawa nito? Para sa kaalaman ng lahat, ang legal ay yung mga taong nabigyan ng permit o may mga papeles na na-submit at na-approve ng government agencies, particularly the DENR. Yung mga walang papeles na putol ng kahoy ay patay sa gobyerno dahil sila ang illegal.
Ang may basbas na gobyerno na maaaring mabigyan ng permits na maglogging ay ang Regions 9, 11, and Caraga. Ito'y ayon sa aking pagsasaliksik na nakabase sa Daily Inquirer noong Hulyo 2005, sinabi ni former Environment Secretary Michael Defensor that total log ban was lifted to meet the country's local wood requirement of 3 million cubic meters a year. Kaya ito'y parang music to the ears of the loggers of the 3 regions. Masaya sila. Ngunit ang tanong, masaya rin kaya ang mga taong nakatira sa mga lugar na ito na pinakaunang maapektuhan kapag may baha, may landslide, may tulay na napuputol dahil sa baha? Dahil kapag may legal, may sumasabay rin na illegal na mga loggers. Ito kasing mga binigyan ng pahintulot ay may measurement ng kahoy na pwede nilang putulin. But the illegal loggers cut the trees indiscriminately na pera at sarili lang ang kanilang iniisip. Isa rin sa requirement ng DENR ang mag-replant ng kahoy pagkatapos nilang maputol ang mga kahoy. Ngunit ang nangyayari, mag-tree planting nga sila, pero sinisiguro ba nila na ito'y buhay lahat? Pagkatapos ng tree planting, kinukuhaan nila ito ng larawan at magpasa na sila ng report sa DENR. Tapos na ang hinihinging requirement nila na mag-tree planting. Pero, bakit ba hot issue itong illegal logging? Hindi lang naaanan sa baha, natatabunan ng landslide ang namamatay. Pati ang mga pulis, mga matatabil na reporter na dada ng dada sa radyo. Siguro, hindi sila nabibigyan ng pantakip na pera sa kanilang mga bibig. Hindi kasali dito yung mga reporter na sincere sa kanilang trabaho. Nanganganib rin ang buhay ng mga head ng DENR kapag sila ay nag-disapprove sa mga application ng mga loggers. Ngunit, kung hindi sila namamatay, yumayaman sila ng patago, or this is what they call sudden accumulation of wealth. Sa palagay niyo ba, galit din ang mga communist rebels sa mga illegal loggers dahil sinisira nila ang kalikasan? Of course not! Yan ang lumalabas sa bibig nila, pero iba ang ginagawa nila. Hinihingian rin nila ng pera, legal man o illegal, kaya pati sila no choice naman ang mga kawawang loggers dahil susunugin din nila ang kanilang mga equipments at kahoy, walang mapupuntang kita sa kanila. Kaya mas gugustuhin na lang nila na hati sila sa kita. Mayroon din tayong naririnig dyan na mismo mga local officials ay nagdalaging. Bakit ganoon sila? Ang mga taong pinagkatiwalaan ng bayan, nagpapatupad ng batas, ngunit sila mismo ang sumusuway. Hay nako, napaka-hot issue nga talaga nito. Marami ang involved at nagkakapera, ngunit marami naman ang namamatay at maapektuhan at the expense of the people's welfare and destruction of Mother Nature. Teka lang, kanina pa ako dada ng dada dito, hindi naman ako nagkakapera, kaya mabuti pang sumali na rin ako sa mga loggers. Joke lang! Ito lang po ang aking masasabi bago ako mag-sign off ay sa lahat ng mga na-involve o naging bida dito sa aking mga pagre-report. Ngayon ay isipin niyo sana ang darating na henerasyon, ano ang may papamana natin sa kanila kung ipagpapatuloy natin ang gawain na ito, isang kalikasan na kung saan ang mga bundok ay puno ng kahoy, iba't ibang klase ng halaman, ibon at hayop na naninirahan sa gubat o sa isang mainit at kalbong bundok. At kung ito'y bundok pa kaya na matatawag? Dahil baka ito'y naging isang kapatagan na dahil sa soil erosion. At yung mga luntiang bundok ay in your dreams na lamang. Napakasakit talagang isipin kapag ito'y nangyari, and that nobody cares talaga for Mother Earth. This is your young commentator, Jessa Meiko El Tripole.
Good afternoon to every one of you. I am Gian Kristen H. Tishorna, your young commentator for this afternoon. My topic for today is all about overpopulation. For many years now, the Philippines has been having a problem with its population of almost 92 million. Who would have thought that a country as small as ours can house more than 90 million people? This steady rise of our population started after World War II, when an unexpected increase in population, more popularly known as population explosion, happened. Population change occurs as growth or decline. Three variables, namely fertility, mortality, and migration, are involved. Fertility has a great effect on population trends. It refers to the actual number of children born to a woman or group of women. A fall in the fertility of the women has the immediate effect of lowering the percentage of young children and an increase in the percentage of middle-aged and older people in the population. It would finally result into an aging population, thus effectively making a steadily decreasing population. Mortality, on the other hand, refers to the number of deaths in a year. If there is a decline in the mortality rate, there will still be an increase in the population even if the fertility rate is unchanged. Lastly, there is the variable of migration. It means the movements of a person or group of persons from one place to another. There are many reasons why a person or group of persons migrate, among which is economic, political, social, psychological, religious, educational, medical reasons, among others. Migration may be classified into two kinds. First is emigration, or leaving one's country for another in a permanent manner. Another is immigration, where a person enters the country of destination. At present, it is quite obvious that our country is not capable of feeding, taking care, and effectively managing and governing our population of 92 million people. To avoid aggravating the problem, the government, the people, and all the religious institutions in our country should work hand in hand to effectively arrest and stop the steadily increasing population. We should accept the fact that the Church's insistence to the population control programs implemented by the state is a violation of God's commandment is at the brink of being hypocritical. Allowing couples to have an unbridled right to procreate and produce children without the necessary means for them to support these children is, to my opinion, a greater sin to God. It is because depriving one's children of their basic right to food, shelter, clothing, and education is more degrading to their dignity as human beings. It is like condemning them to a life of misery and utter poverty, not only for themselves, but as well as for their children and their children's children. It is the most effective way of assuring a multiple generations of impoverished and deprived people. The state, on the other hand, should also make sure that adequate information dissemination program as well as an effective delivery of basic services should be rendered to the populace. Graft and corruption and excessive bureaucratic red tape should be effectively lessened, if not totally eradicated. The people, on their part, should likewise instill self-discipline. They should first think twice before conceiving a child, taking into consideration their capacity to give their future child or children the basic necessities in life such as food, shelter, clothing, and education. It is only through this way that our country may effectively reverse the trend of a steadily increasing population, thus making it possible for our country to prosper economically. Again, this is Gian Kristen H. Tishorna, your young commentator for this afternoon, signing off.